The following is an exclusive presentation of Optimum. We're your TV, phone, and internet company.
The new digital age is reshaping and changing South Orange Village. Coming up next on Meet the Leaders. Hello and welcome to Meet the Leaders. I'm Alfred Bundy. This week's guest represents a new wave of young elected officials in New Jersey by using technology. Please welcome our special guest, South Orange Village Trustee President Alex Torpey. Welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you for having me back here.
Listen, we want to tell people just a little bit about your history again. You really at a very kind of young age compared to most elected officials. You got involved in politics and government. Why?
Well, I wanted to find a way to get involved in my community. I thought there was an opportunity to use technology a little bit more and to try and make government a little bit more of a platform to do things that are a little more innovative and get people excited about their government and the possibility of what government could do. So many people feel like government can't solve problems anymore, and a lot of people, people don't vote, people don't run for office, people don't volunteer, and in South Orange we have a great active community, but I really want to make sure to remind people that government can do great things.
Explain very briefly the form of government that you have, because we call you the village trustee president, but you're actually technically the mayor of that town in most cities. Explain.
Yeah, we have a pretty unique form of government. We're governed under a special charter, under a village form, under kind of a modified village form of government. So we have a village president that's the equivalent of a mayor that acts as basically the CEO, in charge of all the administrative departments, employees, budget, and everything like that. And also, I chair our meetings, so I'm also sort of the council president. And then we have a board of trustees that's equivalent to a town council. That's really the legislative body.
Now you've already slipped in a digital term, platform, but I want to talk to you about technology and social media and the role it played in you getting elected.
It definitely helped. I mean, for me, kind of coming out of left field, I think for a lot of people, the being able to make my announcement, being able to talk to people over Facebook, over Twitter, share my ideas via those platforms, really helped, and it helped for me as well with the fundraising aspect. Over the course of my campaign, we had a lot of small dollar donations. A lot of those were from friends, from colleagues, old professors from college, people that were just excited about someone young getting involved. And if I hadn't been able to raise money online, I wouldn't have been able to raise a lot of the money that I did. So that really helped me kind of kick things off in the beginning. So okay, well, we need a few $1,000s, so we're going to put this email out to all my friends and past colleagues and see what we get back. And it really helps empower people who are a little bit more independent, because you can do a little bit more with less when you're actually using these online tools.
How widespread is the use of computer software and applications in people running for office in the political world now?
Well, it's a good question. I mean, I think that you see more and more, every election cycle you see, more candidates using these tools to run for office. What I think is kind of interesting is that there's actually a bit of a disconnect between how people use the internet and how they use these tools during their campaign versus how they actually use them when they get elected for the government. The campaign industry in the United States is, the most cutting edge in the world. Right? We spend billions of dollars on presidential campaigns, and even down to state assembly or congressional races. People are spending millions of dollars, and on polling and market research and voter targeting, all these different things. And then a lot of these people will use all these amazing tools, and then they get into office and they kind of leave them, and they're kind of seen as campaign tools. So what I want to try and do too is also make sure to not only bring those tools to people, so someone who could maybe not have run for office 10 years ago because they couldn't afford it can now run, but to make sure that those people know that when they get in office, there are actually a lot of tools they can use to make the government work better. as a government official, not just as a candidate.
Interesting. And one of the observations, it was about $7 million spent in just the Newark election the last time. But let's talk a little bit more about what's going on in the village and using technology. How do you use social media to manage your city?
Well, right now there's been kind of a couple different ways. For a while in the beginning, the last time I was here, I used social media myself a lot, my own Facebook, my own Twitter. Since that point, we have launched an official Twitter account, an official Facebook page a little bit more recently, and actually the Twitter came in very handy. We used it heavily during Hurricane Sandy to get information out, and we saw, looking at how many people, we doubled the number of followers in just a week or two, because everyone, a lot of people knew that they could get, up-to-date real-time information, because I could be out, as I'm also our, emergency management coordinator. So I could be out, in the middle of the storm, and with my phone, I could be posting updates on Twitter about what was happening or what the weather, the last conference call we had with the National Weather Service, and just tweeting it out. So people started to find that as a resource. And what we're starting to do now is, and we were able to look at the analytics from our Twitter account, and found that a lot of people who visited our website to get more in-depth information actually got there from Twitter.
Let's stay there for a minute. Let's talk about the analytics. I don't know if everybody has an appreciation for that. I don't think everybody understands the type of feedback, information that you can receive, and certainly even the community can receive. Talk about the analytics of what you can see in managing a town, a city, especially in a crisis situation like Hurricane Sandy.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's kind of taking some of the principles that I use. I do media and political consulting professionally, and we take some of those kind of same principles. So looking at, well, how effective are our outreach campaigns? So when we look at, go a couple years back and look at Hurricane Irene, look at the snowstorm that happened right after that, and Hurricane Sandy, we can look at the number of people that are visiting the website and accessing different pages on the website. And what I basically learned after my first year was that even though our website is kind of out of date and disorganized, which we're actually redesigning right now, people still use it to find information. A lot of people still know the address and still go to find it. So it became, okay, well, people are using it. This means it is A, a priority to make sure we do redesign it so the information is easier to find, and B, that we continue to put real-time information as fast as we can. We're updating the website almost twice a day, every day, and Twitter almost 10 times a day during Hurricane Sandy. So we were able to look and say, okay, well, at this date and time, we can see the spike in people that are accessing this one page on the website, and it helps inform us as how best we can use that and what kind of information people are actually interested in getting from us.
Has it helped make government in South Orange more efficient or more transparent?
Well, that piece of it specifically, not as much, but we are definitely using technology in other ways to try and make us more efficient. A couple examples. One is we're starting to use sort of project and task management software in my administration office. So instead of just sending emails around about different projects, and as I'm sure there are hundreds of open tasks and projects at any given time. There's so many different balls in the air that everybody's working on. So finding a way to manage that information better, and I use that for my business, and basically managing all the projects that we have open, all the tasks that are associated with each project, which staff person is assigned to that, and when the due dates are. Help us get a little bit better of a handle on what we need to do.
What type of resistance have you gotten from City Hall or Town Hall staff?
Well, I've got to be honest, the staff has been really interested in using these things too, because I think what everybody realizes, and it always comes down to this, right, when you're trying to do a new technology, a new software implementation, so you have to convince people that it's the right thing to do. You can't go into an organization and force people to use something that they don't want to use, because they have to buy into it, for it to really work. So after talking with some of the employees, and everybody kind of agreed that there's too many emails. They're just flying around at all hours of the day. It's hard to keep track of what emails are associated with what project, and it's hard to go back and look at the whole history of an issue. If we've got an issue that's a year-long project, you've got to go search your email, and you've got 100 different email threads. and one was sent from this account and that from that person, and it's hard to organize all that. So we want to try and get all that information in one place that you can go and look at it. And people also found that they were, getting interrupted too much. Is that there's too many emails going around, and it's like, well, I don't need to handle this right away, but it's interrupting me. So finding a way to allow people to spend a little bit more time in 2013 focused on one task is really important for the success of any organization.
One of the growing fears is certainly around, cyberspace and the internet, and even President Obama recently signed a cyberspace security bill. Tell me your concerns about cyber safety, and how do you assure confidence in people, especially your constituents, about cyberspace?
Well, I mean, for the assets, that we have that are, kind of village owned, we take a lot of care in making sure we have to comply with state records retention requirements, and we have to make sure that all the software that we use qualifies, basically meets those criteria. So that basically nothing is ever deleted, and there are backup, there are redundant servers for everything. So for example, we switched our email system recently over from Microsoft Exchange to Google, and that allows us access to Google Documents, Google Calendar, and a whole bunch of other things. And when we went with that, we had to purchase a separate module that basically archives everything. So even if you delete an email from your inbox, you can't actually delete anything. It's always saved another copy on the server, and we're required to do that. And from a security standpoint, we had a lot of our data actually in the municipal building in servers. So by moving it out of our network, we're actually securing it a little bit better. I think there's a larger discussion about how we regulate or don't regulate the internet and information that people put on the internet. And that's going to affect a little bit how we do business, because right now the statutes that govern, for example, the Open Public Records Act and the Open Public Meetings Act are so incredibly outdated. They were written before the internet existed, and we're relying on court cases that have interpreted them, to apply to the internet. But we haven't actually, and I know there are some bills, and there are some folks in the legislature, Senator Weinberg and others, that are working on trying to update these bills, which we really, really need to do.
Quick answer, because we're going to go to break. Google, the most powerful company in the world?
It certainly seems like it.
We're going to take a break on that note. More with about South Orange. Stay with us.
Can you consent with me? Imagine what you'd see if every child had a book to read.
So the mission is for us to get a book to each and every child. So let's join hands, book people unite.
Unearth hidden passion.
Come on, we'll have a good time. One book can be the first thing that helps to change a life. Book people unite.
Read to a child today and spark a lifetime of ambition.
2 outs with a runner on first base. Now the big guy comes up to bat, hitting .342 with 92 RBIs and 36 homers. Number 50,000 back
Chill raw and prepared foods promptly. 1 in 6 Americans will get sick from food poisoning this year. Keep your family safer. Check your steps at foodsafety.gov.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Traditional light bulbs actually generate 9 times more heat than light. Switch to Energy Star light bulbs, and you'll realize just how much cash you were really burning through. Saving energy saves you money. Learn more at EnergySavers.gov.
Welcome back. My special guest is South Orange Village Trustee President Alex Torpey. just a little bit more. I mean, we're going to certainly talk a little bit about some other issues in South Orange, but I want to talk a little bit more about cyberspace, internet, digital period. That's just, you know, in some cases, the digital world has brought a lot of more discussion about identity theft and these types of concerns. How do you know, how big a real issue is identity theft becoming?
It's a huge issue, and I think the number of people that are subject to it are, you know, it's growing every year. And the amount of information that we put out there, you know, is pretty incredible. I mean, even I'll give you one small example. Is even for us in the government, people who send who basically give us their personal information. So on a you know, they sign up for emergency alerts, things like that. Right now, and it was actually very recently, within the past couple months, ruled that the personal information that someone provides to us, including their email address, is actually public information. So if someone files an Open Public Records Act request for that information, we're not allowed to redact the person's personal information. So there's a question, I think, at a certain point that you have to wonder, well, you know, what information is public and what is to the public good of making things as transparent as possible, which I think everybody wants, but also making sure to also protect the individual.
You know, gun control has also been a major political discussion, and certainly now we're seeing, because of something 3D printing, that somebody may be able to create a gun and manufacture guns at home. What's your concern about hearing, you know, about this type of issue?
Well, I mean, I personally have pretty major concerns about it. I think that there's a lack of movement in at the state and the federal level to properly address the concerns that most people in this country have. And I think the issue of gun control has become too polarizing for us. You know, it's become, you know, Democrats want more gun control and Republicans want less gun control, and that's it. And the issue is much more complex than that. And when you start getting into, you know, scientific or academic literature about the effectiveness of gun control or the types of guns that cause the main problems that we see, you know, those discussions don't really seem to be happening with our policymakers. They happen in the academic world, they happen in the law enforcement world, but there seems to be a disconnect often between what information is well understood and in an academic world, for example, and then what information is discussed in a political world.
And actually, before we really get down to talking a little bit more about these issues in South Orange, talk to us about the laws or concern about regulatory controls, some of the discretions, you know, regulatory discretions we might want to apply to the internet.
Well, there's a debate that's constantly
if
going
that's even
on.
possible.
Well, and that's a good question. But you saw, I mean, you know, and I think last year the Stop Online Piracy Act, the SOPA PIPA debate, you know, where basically quietly a handful of Congress people supported a bill that would basically make it illegal for anyone who links to illegal content, that basically the Justice Department could take down those websites. And would really have broadened the federal government's control over the internet. And as soon as the internet learned that this was happening, you saw this incredible, almost David and Goliath battle between new media companies like Google and Facebook and Reddit versus traditional media companies. And the new media companies, you know, won that battle. And a lot of people, you know, learned a lot more about protecting, you know, finding a more effective way to stop, you know, real piracy from happening, but also a way that doesn't just give the federal government complete control over shutting down any websites that might potentially, theoretically link to something that's illegal. So it's a major concern, you know, because I think at the end of the day, you know, part of what the internet has done is democratized a lot of things in this country. It's democratized elections a little bit more. It's democratized business. It's democratized education. You know, you can get a college education online for free just by, you know, downloading going to your public library and downloading the audio files from iTunes or reading the textbooks online. You can do that now. So ensuring that we keep that democratized platform that available is really important. But we do, I mean, at some point, the government's going to have to find a way to regulate it, but we have to make sure to limit that, I think, as much as possible.
I just wanted to touch on it. Some people don't even realize that identity theft has also creeped up to the point where it's also the identity of a whole community has been lost and had to be realigned because of either hackers or some glitches in the internet world. I want to talk a little bit more closer to home. You mentioned education. How's the village and Seton Hall University doing, and what types of things you do to keep harmony with the university? There's always been kind of up and down relationship there at times.
Yeah, there's always a bit of a tenuous relationship, the town-gown relationship, that usually has to do with, kind of zoning issues around, well, where do the universities want to develop, and there's kind of battles throughout the state. I think, in South Orange, we've been making a lot of progress, I think, with building a better relationship with Seton Hall and integrating the university more into the town. I think there are a lot of people who live in South Orange who want to see Seton Hall be a more positive force, see the students be involved more, which they're starting to do. And I think I've heard more and more over the last couple of years of residents that are having positive experiences with students who are coming down and doing community service, and positive experiences from students where residents are coming on campus for a lecture series or for an event. And it's important to try and integrate those two things. There's always going to be, again, a little bit of a tenuous relationship when it comes down to, okay, well, the university wants to expand, and is that coming into conflict with the zoning laws that exist in South Orange? So those conversations always come up. In my view, I see both of us as our success is linked at the hip. The better Seton Hall does, the better South Orange does, and vice versa. And I think that's the framework that we need to approach all these decisions.
Good observation. You were an EMT volunteer before you became mayor. I wanted to ask you, how are you still doing that? And
still doing
it. What is your most interesting or most recent interest? I guess you were really involved during the hurricane. Did you actually do EMT work during that time?
During the hurricane, we had our police department, fire department, rescue squad, and public works all staff up. Just in case people can't get to where they live to where they need to be. So we had a full 3 ambulances staffed. I wasn't needed basically there. And fortunately, in South Orange, although our fire department, police department, and public works, were very busy, we didn't have too many serious injuries, which was good.
Plus, you're also the emergency management
I'm also the
coordinator, which
OEM
is a different title,
which is a different, right.
which people need to understand.
It's a couple different hats.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, I still do volunteer over there, and was actually there yesterday. And it's interesting because I think it reminds you at the end of the day. I mean, it's the most direct one-to-one way that you can help somebody, right? Is when they've called 911 for a medical emergency.
And very rewarding, I can assume.
It is. And I've got to say, there's certainly a couple times where it's 3 o'clock in the morning and we show up at somebody's house and say, hey, aren't you the village president? I had a question about my recycling. Said, okay, well look,
right now it's an
let
emergency.
me stop the bleeding.
Yeah, right.
So that's happened a couple times, but
we need to take a break. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Talk more about South Orange Village.
So, same time next week?
Well, of course. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free tips to help you save, go to Feed the Pig.
$7,000 high school students drop out every school day. That's a line of desks more than 4 miles long. We can keep students in school. Visit boostup.org and take the first step.
My special guest is South Orange Village Trustee President Alex Torpey. Trustee President, we don't have a lot of time. Going to kind of give you a couple lightning round questions here and see if you can give me some quick answers. Has technology been helping the downtown business on South Orange Avenue, your business district? Has technology been helping?
Absolutely. We have a new business improvement district called the South Orange Village Center Alliance. They have a new executive director who's fantastic, and one of the great things that they do is do a tremendous amount of marketing over social media. We have an auto show tomorrow in South Orange, and they're advertising that all over the internet, and it's definitely helping a lot.
Does technology make government costs more, cost effective, do you think?
Yes, it definitely does. There's always, sometimes there's an initial investment, but once you measure 5-10 years, there's always a cost savings.
Okay. Has technology made government more impersonal?
I don't think so. It has the risk of doing so, but I think if you use it right, it can make you closer to your citizens.
Technology eliminating jobs in the town?
No, it helps people do their jobs better and provide better services to people.
How close are we to a paperless society?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, I still like reading a newspaper, holding it in my hand, but we're starting to do paperless in our council meetings and our board meetings very soon, and so we're certainly moving in that direction.
Has the world become more eco-friendly, do you think, because of technology?
I think so. I don't think we've done enough, but that definitely, again, if you use technology the right way, it can make a huge difference, especially in government as far as how much paper is distributed.
Why don't you talk to me about what you consider some of your unfinished or undone projects that you still need to look at and work on in this city?
Well, we've got a couple technology implementations that we're looking at right now. I mean, for example, our website redesign, we're about halfway through. We're looking into launching an online 311 service request system, so people can file a complaint about a public works issue, for example, with taking a picture on their smartphone, and it goes into a workflow for our employees and allows us to check everything off as it gets done. Looking to take Open Public Records Act requests online completely, so anyone who's filing a new request can see if a similar request has already been filed. And I think for us, a big focus is on the downtown. We've got 2 development projects that are coming online. One called the Gateway on South Orange Ave, which is 57 apartments and some retail space. And another one that we're in the earlier phases of. That groundbreaking is next week. The other one we're in the earlier phases of 220 apartments and retail space on 3rd and Valley by Jonathan Rose. So those are going to bring in more commercial ratables. They're going to bring in more foot traffic to the downtown, and they're going to help us in kind of our overall vision of moving some of the parking out of the center of the town to the outside of the town, creating a more pedestrian-friendly downtown center, and bringing in more dense residential units into the downtown to support all of our local businesses, to use the train station, and to take advantage of our concert series and parks and everything like that. So we've got a lot of progress to make in the downtown. We've been doing a really good job. We're not there yet, but everybody's kind of aligned in the right direction, and I think it bodes well for us in the future, because not only will we have an even better downtown than we have now, but it's also going to help reduce the tax burden on homeowners by bringing in more commercial taxpayers.
Been rumor, more than rumor, concerns about the theater and movie. I think it's a Clearview movie.
Our Performing Arts Center.
Yeah, and how's the Arts Center doing? Will it survive?
Absolutely. We have a new executive director who just started, who's doing a great job, and we also split up the tasks of the executive director to basically be a manager and a new creative director that's going to help find more programming. We're also restructuring the debt that the Performing Arts Center has. We're taking it on to the village so that when they go and apply for grants, their balance sheet is a little bit cleaner. So we're seeing a lot more success there.
We are out of time, okay? But you are a very interesting municipal elected official, and we want to thank you for being here on Meet the Leaders.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for watching Meet the Leaders. I'm Alfred Bundy. Please be sure to tune in next week when we will speak with a leader from your community.
Kids will spend 15 minutes watching online videos like this one.
Brushing for 2 minutes now can save your child from severe tooth pain later. 2 minutes twice a day. They have the time.
So, I got this new family, and I don't know what it is about this one, but she can't seem to put down that toy all day long. Tap, 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 tap. Oh, and she even talks to it. She talks to that more than she talks to him. What's up, bro? Nice shirt. Who's she talking to? Her mom? She talks to her mom a lot.
That's low, that's low. That's low and below. Look, he's blushing.